Okay, we are recording. So this is the 100-day project. So my parameters were do something when I could. I was going through chemotherapy and then radiation, and it was a really hot summer, and I was driving every day. We were driving every day to Bozeman, so like half the day is gone by the time you get home. It's an hour there, an hour back, so it took longer than 100 days. And that was fine. But in the past, I always been like, I'm going to do 100 items. And this one was just do something. Not finish a painting, not anything like that. And that worked out really well, I think. I didn't feel overwhelmed. I just worked on things. And some took longer, some took one day. Yeah, so I started off using some prompts from Galina 30-day face challenge. So like this is, what is this one? Dream. That was June, that was day 1. Day 2. Was this words? I think this was words. Oh, day 3. No, so this was day 2, huh? Must be day 1 and 2, because this was the first one I did. Good. So this would be day 3. And I just wrote on the back. There she is. I think her chin needs to be lower, or her shoulder needs to be higher. But yeah, one of the goals I had of this was doing things that I normally wouldn't do, like that. Side profiles. They're not my favorite. I do really like how she turned out, though. This was high key. Yep. This is day 7 we're on. Snake. And here and there I throw some watercolor in. Decided to do a blue lady. Day 9 it was monochromatic. This is, I think, was water. I really love how she turned out. That's splatters and drips. Yep, water. I like her. And the face too ended up being good. This is a hard because she's kind of looking down and up. It can be a hard angle to get, and I wanted to challenge myself. Same with this one. Watercolor mixed media. In this one, the Ukrainian war had just started. And the older lady had said, "You will lie down with seeds." So that one's about Ukraine and the curse. And I really like how she turned out. Then I did her, and she turned out kind of weird looking. But, you know, whatever. I like the background, but, you know. Then I did this one, which I had a love-hate relationship with. I liked it, but I didn't like it, and then I liked it, and then I didn't like it. So, yeah. There was her. I wanted to do some hands, and because hands are hard. Hands are challenging. And my hands turned out okay on this one. They're a little limp. You have to get really sharp angles on hands. It's kind of hard. This was draw, I think. Yep, draw. Just a quick little sketch with some ink pens, ink brush pens I have. Just fun. And here's where I feel like things started to shift for me. Because part of the reason I wanted to do the 100-day project was I spent a lot of last year not doing anything due to anemia and cancer and stuff. And I wanted to get back into painting faces. And I thought, oh, this is a good way to do it. And this is where I started asking myself, how can I do it in the least amount of strokes possible? And I feel like something really changed. This one's fairy tale. And I really love how she turned out. Things kind of started shifting right around then. Then I did self-portrait, which I hate because I'm bald. But it felt important. So I picked out some paper I had eco-printed, see. So, yeah. Me with no hair. I got some hair now, but it's still cold. I did her. I think how she turned out. Performer was the cue. And this was poem. We're up to day 22 with that one, so this is day 23. A lot of times I paint on the back. I paint on things like this. And so I have a background ready to go. And this was more eco-printed paper. Can't really see the eco-print, but a lot of rust on it. And this was faceless, and it didn't quite turn out the way I wanted it to, and I didn't quite have the motivation to make it look like I wanted it to. We had blue, so I chose 3 different blues and used those. I like how she turned out. She turned out a little weird, but once again, eco paper. I think I had chemo that week. But, you know, it's just a matter of playing around more eco-printed paper. So I was hoarding, and I'm like, why don't I use this? I'm going to use this. I did her. This was floral. And we're up to day 28. I think this one was surreal. Yep. And I really like how this one turned out. And then there's her, which is door, which looks more like a window. But that shift that started coming in with fairy tale finally really starts to really solidify. Then I decided I wanted to paint Margot Fontaine. I don't know why I feel like crying. This was Halo. And once again, trying what's the least amount I can do? What's the least amount, and how do I use the shapes that I see in the shadow as opposed to be like, I don't want to do that. So day 30 there. Then we're up to reflection. Found this on Unsplash. I'm like, okay, this one will work. Haven't done anything like this before. I'm real good at Chemo Brain, day 32, 33, so that might have been 30, 31, whatever. Or I didn't look. I am actually happy with how this one turned out. And there was Crown. There was Collage. And there was, what was this one? No prompt. I think the prompts ended. Did this face because it was technically difficult, technically something I would have avoided in the past. She turned out okay. Something I would have avoided trying to do, and this was 37, 38. Then I decided to do some watercolors. I got a new watercolor palette and started working on that. Working on a new set of prompts, kind of, sort of, but not really. So this is day 41. Once again, working on things that I would normally avoid. So figurative with the hands. And I think it turned out okay. There's her. This is 44, 45, 46. With watercolor, it's harder to go quick because you have to let things dry in between layers or you get mud. This is the failure of day 46, 47, and 48. I had this concept in my head and it didn't translate, and my burnt umber was, everything turned out too sheer. I was really unhappy with this one. So this is yeah, it just, And so on day 48, I also did her. So she's 48 too, -2, because I really like how she turned out as compared to my 3 ladies who didn't work out. And I did her, and I love her, working with colors, kind of monochromatic colors, analogous colors, kind of things like that. Got a little analogous and complementary going on here. One thing I noticed with like the watercolor, because it's newer to me than say acrylics is that I was really being precious with it, and this is less precious than say, where is she? This picture, and she kind of was the start of that being more imprecise, and really with her just going in real loose. And then I decided to paint Azam Ali, an Iranian singer. And I like how she turned up, just trying to be very loose yet again. And then I did Lisa Gerard, and I immediately regretted the green. I wish I would have chose a different color, and partly because the greens in the palette I was using did not have enough contrast, more than anything else. And I decided to do some hands, and I was happy how she turned out. Down looking face with hands. And there's her. Just main goal is just to have fun with it. It was a very shadowed face, and I didn't like how it looked, so I put hair on. Hair fixes many things, and this is day 54 and 55. I really like how this one turned out. I put some red in with the green, and that really changed things. It's a lot of times when I'm going through is like this emotional tone. That's day 56 and 57 is what I'm looking for. Not like a picture perfect representation. One friend said this was moody, which it kind of is, and this is day 57, 58. I have to go get more paintings. Working in watercolor, just exploring that new palette that I got. And then I decided to do Sheila Chandra, a singer from India. I don't really love how this turned out. It doesn't convey her haunting beauty in the picture I was using as a reference picture. But feedback on it was people liked it. This is day 59. Then I did her. I really liked her. Once again, how can I do the least amount possible working with acrylics? 60 and 61. Then I painted Florence from Florence and the Machine, and she looks a little stiff, but that's okay. There's her. Sometimes I'll like take screenshots of historical photos, and this one is one, and so is this, except I don't paint them in their historical era. I kind of update them. And then I painted my best friend that I've known since I was 15. She was 14. So we've known each other a very long time. That's 65 and 66. And then I painted Liz Fraser, who looks more like my friend Lisa, so this is titled Not Lisa. Because then I painted Lisa next, and Lisa got her fey version of herself. And that's 68, 69, and 70. And there's her. She's another historical one. 71, 72. And I did her. I didn't like this palette color. I was trying to use it up. This one kind of turned out weird. But I'm okay with it. Then I really liked her. I like this background. I think I just got a bunch of new watercolors, so yeah, I had to play around with them. And then decided to do another hand with some fruit and a side profile. pretty much, in watercolor, and using that concept that I've been working with in acrylics of how can I do the least amount possible, not blending out strokes like there and there. And I was really happy with how she turned out. And my hands were starting to get better, and they looked like what was on the reference picture. And that was days 80, 81, and 82. Getting hot. Sun's coming over the ridgeline and into my room. Okay, so this was summer. We're into a really hot summer. I'm going through radiation. I took a long break between days 80, 81, 82, and this one. I was tired, and I was just tired. And cancer treatment is like a full-time freaking job. And I didn't feel like painting faces. I just need to let my brain relax and have some fun with things. So I moved on to abstract starting day 83. I'm using, this is watercolor, just having fun with things and going for color. And a lot of times too, how, I think this was inks, acrylic inks. Abstracts for me, I started doing them just to, because sometimes I'd be like, I just need my brain to relax. And then they started becoming my backgrounds. So I do like to practice my abstracts because that's what happens in the background of my paintings now, is this abstract layering of mark making, which I really enjoy. So practicing abstracts is part of practicing what I do. I like how this one turned out. I like the colors. Then I started playing with resists and watercolor, so a wax resist. And I really like how this one turned out. This one turned out better than some of my other experiments. Like this one. This one's okay. But doing layers of wax resist and watercolor and seeing how that worked out. I do like that one. Then there's this one. And two, these are mildly, and I do put mildly, inspired by Hilma af Klint. Probably the first abstract woman artist. Actually, first abstract artist. She predates Kandinsky, who, I think it was Kandinsky, said was the first one. Beautiful work. Go look her up, Hilma af Klint. Really cool stuff. Once again, still playing with the resists. More resist and some texture from the paper towel, which was pretty. I like the colors in this one. More resist play. And then I got some new paper. This is Stonehenge Legion hot press, so it's smooth. And where are we at? We're at day 91, 92 now. So I did her. And I love this paper. I loved how it went on. I just really did a lot. Yeah, I was really happy. I now know what people are like, I love that paper, are talking about, because I love this paper. Just some wet and wet technique. Having fun. What happens when I use these two colors. This is day 93. Little scribble. And I decided to make some geometric shapes, kind of square rectangle things. Just why not? Then I did triangles. I did bunches of triangles, and this was kind of fun to do. This is day 96. Then I did an eye, because I used to do a lot of this kind of stuff, and I still enjoy it. It still has great meaning, and so I decided to do an eye, because that's what I was feeling. And I did this, which is very pretty. It's got movement. Then I did an eye and a triangle. We're up to day 99 at this point. And yeah, I like that green. And then finally, day 100 is this one. And that was it. We made it. I made it. It's taken me 3 years. But I made it. The first year I got like day 30, and the second year I got farther than day 30, and the third year I managed to do it. Not definitely in 100 days. Don't be so callous with yourself to make yourself think that you need to be that on, because that's a lot with life and everything. So yeah, there we go. That was my 100-day project. Would I do it again? Yes. I grew as an artist. It was a lot of fun. I definitely would just do something again, as opposed to trying to create a piece every day or something every day, no matter how small. Because there would be times where I just get the face on the paper and that was my day. Lay down a layer or something and then let it dry and come back the next day. I typically didn't go much longer than 3 days, but yeah, it definitely was a learning experience, and I would recommend it. And I would recommend keeping it bite-sized and functional in your life, and not be like, oh, I gotta get Lisa painted today. No, don't do that. Don't put that stress on you. That's a lot of stress. And if you have to skip a day, because there was a long between the abstract start was probably almost a month, because I was almost through with radiation at that point. And before I started back in with this, I'm just like, I wanted to do something. I'm just like, I just can't deal with doing a face right now. Because radiation does give you some fatigue with it. And so I just started doing this, and I was very happy that I decided to go for abstracts for the last almost 20 days. So yeah, have fun with it. Do not stress yourself out with it if you decide to do the 100-day project next year. Yeah, definitely just do something was a much better thing than I will finish this piece. And I don't know next year if I'll do faces or if I'll do something like create, 100 days, 100 days worth of collage-y stuff. That could be fun too, where you just make marks or stuff. I don't know. One year I tried to just work on one painting for 100 days, and at some point I just completely lost interest in it and never came back to it. I don't even know where it is. I think I painted over it. So yeah. And if you're not grooving on it, change it. This one I definitely grooved on, partly because I wanted to get back into painting faces well after a long layoff. So yeah. And that's the 100-day project. I'll let you go. I've babbled on long enough. Go out there and have a wonderful day and be the love in the world. Talk to you later.